Jessica, since we have you on screen, can you raise your hand if you can hear me? Can you hear me okay? Okay, excellent.
Wow.
And this is how we got to the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, folks, I think and we've got Jim here. Congratulations to Jim for having two twin grandchildren recently arrived. If we could get people to maybe get seats, and we'll get going here. Welcome, everybody, to the 2025 PPTC Ride Leader Symposium. I'm Stephen Mink. I'm one of the members of the executive committee. Um, and what we're doing today is doing a refresh of how to lead rides for people who've been doing it for a while, and give an introduction to people who are new to that, and giving a consideration to getting involved with that as the ride season begins. I'm going to ask for a couple of show of hands just so we've got a sense of what we've got here in the room. Um, and we'll be trying to be cognizant of people online as well. Uh, and we've got Dan who's monitoring the chat line. So if you have any immediate requests to make your participation work, put it in the chat line, and Dan will grab my ear to make sure we pay attention to that. But first, show of hands, how many people in the room have led rides for the club in the past? Shy. Maybe half. So, and who has not led rides? About the other half. Um, XCOM members in the room, hands high. Wow, we're about half of the group here. All right, well, good. So we've got a mix of people who've been doing this for a while, to people who are new. I hope there's going to be something that's relevant to both groups of people. But some of it for the experienced ride leaders may look familiar. But we are doing one new thing this year. We'll get back to that at the end of the program. So I hope this is going to be useful and relevant to everybody. Um, I did see Rudy online at some point. He's up in the wilds of Pennsylvania, I think, wrangling a youth ski league. And it's a little noisy here, Rudy. It's a little hard maybe to have you come in on the group. But he sends you his greetings. We picked this date, we knowing that he wouldn't be available, but we've had his full support getting this going. The purpose of this session is to get ready for the buildup of rides during the year, and to make sure that our ride leaders are able to make rides safe and welcoming to people who show up for the rides, whether they be old timers or new to the club, and trying to sort out what the club is all about. Um, to give you a little bit of context, if we look back at 2024, we had a little bit over 40 ride leaders last year. And about 20 of the ride leaders were responsible for doing more than 10 posted rides over the course of the year. And that meant basically that we had some real workhorses that were responsible for about 3/4 of the rides that were posted. We'd like to get more ride leaders involved, and ride leaders with new ideas about rides that they want to lead, to get greater diversity and to reach members that maybe are looking for something a bit new, looking for some more diversity. Last year we had about 650 rides posted. So there's a lot of variety out there, but there's a lot of scope for more variety. Um, There's a ride class table that's on the website. It basically is an A through D classification, which differentiates on the pace of the ride over different kinds of terrain. And when we post rides, we typically specify the expectation for what that ride is going to be. Um, you may have some priors as to what the proportion of our posted rides, of those 650 rides over the different paces, but here's what it was last year. There were 8% or so of the rides were Class D. And that's, I may have the numbers wrong, but that's a social pace. That's maybe about 10 to 12 miles per hour on average. C and CC rides were about 20% of our rides. B and DB rides were about 40% of our rides. A and AA rides, 0%. So we're not really a Paceline race team training club, but the biggest group were multi-class rides, which were about 35, 40%. And that's where the ride leader says, we're going to have this group break up during the ride into different paces, and we'll have somebody accompany each of those paces as we go on. So we don't really have a lot of rides at sort of the entry level for people just getting involved in biking. But we have a lot of multi-class rides. Start locations. Half of the rides start in Maryland, 30% start in Virginia. That leaves about 20% starting in DC. And where a ride starts determines really how accessible it is to people who may be rushing to get there from other things. So that's our breakdown. The other piece of context, and one that all of the XCOM members who are here and who raised their hands and who are online have been dealing with, is the club has been struggling with declining membership. It's now been pretty persistent over a number of years. We've been losing about 10% of our membership per year now for a number of years. We're at about 1,000 members at present, but the XCOM basically has taken on the challenge of what do we need to do that we're in control of as a club to make the club more appealing, more attractive, more welcoming to members so that we attract new members and retain the people who do come and try. What we're trying to grapple with in thinking about what does it take to lead a good ride. So today with our late start, we may go until about 6 o'clock, but we're going to try to keep this brief as we can. Our program basically is going to run through the following. How do you choose a route? If you're going to lead a ride, it starts with the route that you're going to lead people on. Then before the ride, what do you do? We're going to go through just making sure you check that the route, in fact, doesn't have construction going on or a bridge that's out. And also before the ride, there's the communicating with the people who you hope show up by posting the ride on the club calendar. And Carol's going to talk about that. There's a pre-ride talk once you're actually there with people showing up so that you set the expectations for the ride and so that you're aware of who is on the ride and are cognizant of what diversity of people's riding approach is that you're going to have to lead successfully during the ride. Then at the end, we're going to talk about something new we're doing this year, which is certification of ride leaders. It's something we haven't done in the past. Never fear, just by participating online and by being here in the room, you've already done the most time-consuming and onerous part of being certified. But we'll get to that process in detail towards the end.